YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with, I think, the 7th video of the day between both the channels here on the unofficial day one of NFL free agency. A lot happened, more than ever, that I can remember at any NFL free agency start. Had trade grades on the Goat House Plus channel and then signing grades on this channel. Plenty more to come. This is actually the second version of this video. So the earlier on the day, a bunch more signings. I graded those, so go check that out. I'll put a link down in the comments. On our Goat House Plus channel, our second channel, there's a link down below for that. Please subscribe to it. All kinds of trade grade videos, including the Stephon Diggs one, which is not pictured there. Stephon Diggs recently traded. I graded that, broke it down. Please subscribe to both channels. Full NFL content. We'll got you covered for the NFL draft as well. And then check out our Twitter. That's a must follow. Instant reaction to the breaking news, discussing all that, answering any questions. So follow the Twitter, link down below, and you'll find a link for our new podcast, 4 episodes out. Those are below. Please check it out. First deal in the second video of the signing grades. So again, there was a first video. Randall Cobb to the Texans. So the Texans earlier traded DeAndre Hopkins. And they're kind of retooling. It's weird. They're kind of retooling with, I hate to say it, but mediocre and average players, with a good amount of cap space. I know it's only day one, but trade DeAndre Hopkins and then kind of getting players here that really aren't going to make a huge impact for them. So I'm not really liking what the Texans are doing, honestly, at the moment. I think they could go a little bigger, hoping they kind of get that big-time pass rusher. Not really, none of them came off the board yet, so that's kind of the good news. 3-year, $27 million for Randall Cobb, $9 million per year. I kind of look at last year, kind of what Golden Tate got. Similar deal. Randall Cobb's not going to make too much of an impact anymore. They need another receiver. They got somewhat of a weapon here. I'm going to give it a C. I'm not in love with this one. I just want them to make bigger moves. They created a bigger hole here, and they're going to fill it. I don't know if they're not valuing the receiver position or what they're doing here. Not a huge fan of that one, but can't say they got better. Let's say they got better because they lost DeAndre Hopkins, but after losing DeAndre Hopkins and starting at nothing, I guess technically they got better. The Redskins signed Kendall Fuller, the Chiefs defensive back. It's going to be a 4-year, $40 million contract, so $10 million per year. So first look at that, it's a little more than I thought he would go for in terms of how much money per year. $10 million. I thought closer to that $8 million per year range. So a little pricey, but this one's kind of grown on me a little bit. I like the fit. He played a lot of nickel. I like the idea of him. We've seen him play kind of deep in the secondary too, almost a safety at times with the Chiefs because they moved Tyrann Mathieu all over the place. Juan Thornhill got hurt at times or at the end of the year. I kind of like the idea of him in the back end with the Redskins. Most likely they'll use him at corner, which they needed a corner here. I think they were trying to get Byron Jones, Bradbury. They were, I would like them to get Byron Jones. They were smart not to overpay by a tremendous amount for a guy like Bradbury. So they needed a corner, maybe a little bit more than I expected, but I still like the fit. This one's kind of grown on me. I'm going to give it a B. Moving on to the next deal in this video, Amari Cooper, a big one in this video here. He got the 5-year, $100 million deal, and apparently the Redskins were in on this, and apparently the Redskins offered more, and Amari Cooper wanted to come back. $100 million. He was okay selling for $100 million, I guess. That's a whopping number for a receiver that is very good, very talented, very young. But he does come off. The one thing I don't like about him is he does come off the field at times. He took himself out of games a couple times, just some nagging injuries. So I don't like that. Paying a receiver $100 million on a year that it's a really, really good draft class, like a stacked draft class here. So that's kind of the downside, but a top tier receiver on the rise. I mean, what were you going to do? Because he was asking for a little much when the market goes up every year, not pay him. So originally $100 million was ridiculous to me, but market goes up every year. He's a top tier receiver on the rise. He pretty much had to do it. I'll give him a B. I'll give him a B, maybe like a B minus. I wasn't really doing minuses and pluses unless it was an A plus. So kind of around there because it is, it's a ridiculous amount of money for a receiver right now, in my opinion. Look at Diggs' deal when he's getting traded to the Bills. So I mean, it's it's a lot of money, and that's the reason why they had to let other guys walk. So we see that now for a receiver, but he's a very good one. So I'm going to keep it in the B range. It's a tough one to grade though. Jamie Collins, another tough one to grade because only good on the Patriots. Really, it felt like got the trial with the Browns, wasn't working out there, and then gets this deal with the Lions, 3-year, $30 million, so $10 million per year. It's a lot of money for a guy that's only worked out in the Patriots. Hasn't really looked. There'll be people that say he's not going to be good because he's not in the Patriots. Matt Patricia's got a unique defense. He kind of uses that, similar style, same system that the Patriots run, similar system scheme he ran when he was there. He kind of likes the linebacker hybrids, off the ball linebackers that can rush the passer. We've seen what he's done with Kennard, guys like that. And so to me, this helps them. They get better here. It is a bit pricey. Nothing crazy though. For him to be able to bring pass rush at the same time of being somewhat of an off-the-ball linebacker, that's, I guess, $10 million per year is not, anything crazy. But it is a little bit risky because we don't know how he is without, the Patriots, I suppose. But I still give it a B. It was a need. It's a fit for sure. And I don't know. It's a little risky in that way, but $10 million per year for a guy that can contribute in multiple ways. Overall, I like it. Moving on to Javon Hargrave, another one that really, I saw the contract, and the contract's 3-year, $39 million, $13 million per year. What does that mean? It means he's the highest paid nose tackle in football. Not by a crazy number, but easily the highest paid nose tackle in football. So that, is he the best nose tackle in football? Probably not, but he's a young one on the rise. It's just how the market works. Right away, wasn't crazy in love with it because it's the amount of money, but this one really grew on me. Again, a very good nose tackle. There's a rare amount of good nose tackles, one that still has potential, but it's really grown on me because what the Eagles can do with their defense. It's him, but the pieces he fits with. The Eagles run a 4-3, and they have Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett on the outside. They're on the edge, defensive ends, and they have Fletcher Cox, who can move around in the interior defensive line pretty much anywhere, an elite defensive tackle. And they have Malik Jackson, who we didn't get to see a whole bunch last year. Hopefully he stays healthy. Gets kind of more of that pass rush presence from the interior defensive line. Now you add a nose tackle, which you didn't have. So that gives you a great rotation. Plug him in at nose tackle. Fletcher Cox is going to be on the field most of the time. On passing downs, it's probably going to be Cox and Malik Jackson. But it also gives you the flexibility of running given some 3-4 looks, which some teams do these days. They don't stick strictly to their base defense, and because they have the flexibility of Malik Jackson hopping, sliding out to a 3-4 end spot. Derek Barnett played there at Tennessee, actually, coming out of college, and Brandon Graham, I think could play the 3-4 DN or just be an edge rusher still, and then Josh Sweat, who if healthy, I liked him a lot out of Florida State, was more of a 3-4 edge rusher. So they can give these different looks. They don't have to stick to one thing. So that's really, really growing on me. I gave him an A for this one. A lot of money, but I love the fit. I like the idea. Hopefully they all stay healthy, because that's really the concern with the Eagles, just stay healthy. See more Malik Jackson this year, perhaps. So I like this one a lot. Really growing on me, the idea of Hargrave and the rest of that defensive line. Moving on to Kyle Van Noy, so another big signing for the Dolphins. We had one or a couple in the last video. So Kyle Van Noy, 4-year, $51 million. And Brian Flores, familiar with Kyle Van Noy, a big part of his defense. We saw when they won the Super Bowl. And he'll be a key part of this Dolphins defense. It's a very important position. We see him when he played off the ball linebacker, it was mainly 2 linebackers most times. So they got a lot of responsibility. And then when he was an edge rusher this year, when the Patriots kind of put him out there in a 3-4, he was very good, very productive, did a mixture of things. And I think that we've seen the Dolphins switch to more of a 3-4 last year. So I think they'll kind of be similar. They're going to use him in multiple ways, but I think he'll be a good pass rush presence there off the edge, which the Dolphins needed. And you look at what these solid pass rushers are getting paid these days, the really good ones, north of $17 million a year. And this guy's going to give you pass rush presence, and he can do more. I mean, worst case scenario, he's an off the ball linebacker, dropping in coverage. So this is a tremendous. I'm gonna give it an A+. I love this deal. We know he's a fit. I know he's gonna be good. I'm not worried about the only good on the Patriots. I'm not worried about that. This is a big time signing for the Dolphins. That's an A+ deal right there. Maybe my favorite new new face on a new team, deal so far, which there has been. I know it's only day one, but there has been a lot. So that's a good one there for the Dolphins. I'm surprised, what was it? $12.75 million per year. I'm surprised no one beat them on that. I'm surprised about that. Blake Martinez, one that very recently happened, signing with the Giants, is getting 3-year, $30 million deal, $10 million per year. Yeah, this is kind of one of those ones. I kind of want to wait and see what else the Giants do. But to me, I would rather spend that few extra million because they have the space on a guy like Corey Littleton or whoever it may be. If you're going to save money route, I'd rather go like a Patrick Owoso and save a little more money and go less. So they're kind of splitting the difference here. I'm not really sure what they're doing. They had the cap space. I think it's weird that guys like Littleton and Schobert haven't signed yet. So maybe they're looking to add them too. I'd say unlikely at this point, but it's very possible. So I think, it's just, I don't know what this is going to get them. Martinez is solid. He racks up tackles, not so hot in coverage. If he has to get rangy to the sideline, he can work on that. But I just don't know really the plan. They're kind of just in the middle, of the plan, not really going big or going for the young upside guys or the cheap upside guys. They're just kind of playing in the middle there. So I'm not really in love with this one. Maybe they got better at the inside linebacker position because of it. I'm going to give it a C. We'll see what they do still, but I would love for them, $10 million a year. You spend that extra, pay $14, $15 million a year for Corey Littleton. I would much rather do that. Or Joe Schobert, $13, $14 million a year. We'll see what those guys get, where they land. And we can come back and we're going to talk about all teams and what they did throughout free agency, who they got, who they lost, how they did, in my opinion. Another one, NFL didn't even have a graphic for me on this one. Jaren Reed, I like this one a lot, actually. They signed, the Seattle Seahawks re-signed Jaren Reed to a 2-year, $23 million deal, $11.5 million per year. The stat watchers, go look at his stats last year. Not a whole bunch, but he was suspended for a portion of the beginning of the season, so you can't really base a whole bunch out of last year. Very productive year before. It's a good young defensive tackle, definitely on the rise, definitely has some potential. I think it's a good deal. You see a former Seattle Seahawk actually a few years ago, Sheldon Richardson. I think he left. He went to the Vikings. Then he was a Brown, now is a Brown, but he was signed as a free agent last year to the Cleveland Browns around a similar deal, actually a little more. Richardson, you could argue better right now, not a huge difference. Reed, a lot more upside. He really could be better going forward here. So I like to compare those deals, especially a year later when the market goes up. So I really like this deal. Hopefully the off-the-field issues don't come back. That's why he was suspended. Kind of, tempted to give it an A+, but I'll give it an A. 2-year deal. Even though it's a good deal, it's still a decent amount of money. But overall, it's a really good deal for the Seahawks. Curious to see what they do with Quentin Jefferson. I thought he was more of an impact than maybe his stats will show or will people think, maybe than his name. I think he's an underrated player. So curious to see who ends up with him. And then Jimmy Ward, right when I was going to record this video, got to throw Jimmy Ward in here. He just got signed 3-year, $28.5 million. Last second, I kind of had the feel that he was going to go back to the Niners a little cheaper than he would be going elsewhere. And I think that was the case here. $9.5 million. It's around the ballpark of what you think he would get because he's only had one really good year, has had some injuries. But I think if he went to a team like the Browns or whoever it may be, $9.5 million may look like 10.5 or 11 million. Probably around the 10.5 million. So they saved. Maybe they saved a little bit, but they kind of had to. Hopefully he stays healthy. But overall, good deal. It's going to be good to have him back for the Niners there. So I'm going to give it an A. So that was definitely a win for them. And then just a few more things I want to talk about here. The Bills signed A.J. Klein, 3-year, $18 million. That's a B. It's a solid deal. Nothing super expensive, but nothing crazy in terms of his talent. But I believe he will start at that weak side linebacker spot in their 4-3. So they have Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds, and then A.J. Klein. They do have O'Shawn Joseph to compete for that spot as well. So that's overall a good linebacker unit, good signing. The Jets signed George Fant, 3-year, $30 million. I'm giving that a D. The Jets got desperate for offensive line. It felt like they wanted to get their offensive line going. They had to because they had so many holes in free agency and then going into the draft kind of finish it. and they kind of got desperate. The Seahawks were always known for making the offensive line work with kind of below average guys at times, average guys. And not to mention they had Russell Wilson to kind of make it work. But Fant wasn't really one of those guys that, was sticking, was working on top of that. And now he's got to go block for Sam Darnold. He's not in love with this one. There's potential he can play left tackle, right tackle, guard. He really hasn't played left tackle. I've heard the Jets want to put him there. I'm a little scared for them. 3-year, $30 million, that's $10 million per year. That's kind of a lot too. So I don't really like that one. But it's the reason it's not an F. It's because they were desperate. I'd be desperate too at this time. Not saying I would do this exact deal, but they pretty much had to do it. Texans signed Eric Murray, 3-year, $20.5 million. It's not super expensive, but it's a below average safety that could play some slot corner. Didn't work out with the Browns. The Browns struggled back there a bit. The Texans, with all their money, they're trading away their best player, perhaps one of their best players, and just kind of getting mediocre, average guys and just not liking what they're doing. I'm hoping they can kind of change that for me. I like Dante Fowler with them. I haven't heard anything on that, but I would like that a lot. But for this one, I give it a D. It's just not. It's just not an impactful move, and it's even though it's a somewhat cheaper compared to what some other guys are getting, there's still some money there. And then we got a list of guys that the Raiders signed Marcus Mariota. That happened quite some time ago here today. I still haven't heard anything on the contract. So in the next video, when I know, maybe a couple videos even, when I know the contract, then I can properly grade it. But I can take a good guess that I'm going to like it. I like the upside of Marcus Mariota. Low risk, high reward here. Going to be a backup to Derek Carr, but low risk, high reward. So I'm going to like this one. Depending on the money, if I think, it's in the right range, I'm probably going to give it an A. The Saints signed Drew Brees. Still looking for the contract. I don't know how I'm going to grade this one because if you guys listen to me for a while, I was more in favor of going Teddy Bridgewater, who's still available. Drew Brees is better right now than Teddy Bridgewater, but I think you're really hurting your future going Brees for one more year than going Bridgewater long term. I think Taysom Hill's a hell of a football player, key piece to the Saints. Like him there. I don't think he's their future quarterback. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. So kind of, it's good to have Drew Brees back. You can win a Super Bowl, but you're really hurting your future. So we'll see the contract. We'll see how I grade that. The Lions just signed Nick Williams from the Bears. Interesting one. Very curious to see the contract numbers. By the time I'm recording this, of course, I don't have the contract numbers. I've not seen them, and I don't think they've released yet. But Nick Williams played pretty well for the Bears last year. Pretty damn well. Pretty good production. The Lions need somebody on the inside. It's risky though. I'm hoping it's cheaper. It's risky because he got most of his production from maybe 1, 2, 3 games, and then playing in there, inside Khalil Mack, that could help a little bit. How's he going to be with the Lions? I would like to see the contract. I don't think they overpaid. Hoping it's a low risk, high reward, but hopefully they didn't base too much off of his stats last year, but does have upside. And the Bills signed Mario Addison. I know it's 3 years. We haven't seen the price yet. The Bills needed pass rush. I just want him to go bigger than this. Mario Addison aging. He could get some production. You're kind of in the same boat, though. You got Jerry Hughes. You're kind of in the same boat. I would like for them to go bigger. They had the cap space. I know they traded for Diggs. That was great, but I would like for them to go bigger. But I don't hate it, but I don't like it really either. So I would like for them to go bigger here. We'll see what I'm hoping they didn't overpay for him, because he'll kind of show up and then kind of disappear at times. And he's declining. I can't say declining, but he's aging. So I wish they would have went a little bigger. There's plenty other free agent pass rushers out there. They're just not signing yet. And the Bills had the ability to spend money on them, even with trading for Diggs. He didn't have a crazy contract. So I would like for them to go bigger. Only day one, they very well can do so. But that's going to do it for this one. Let me know your guys' thoughts, your guys' grades. This is the second version of this video. We graded all the other signings, and then the franchise tag signings is a separate video as well. You'll find the link down below in the comments. And then our other channel, Goat House Plus, you'll find a link down there so you can go subscribe to that. But that has all kinds of trade grade videos and breakdowns on there. So we got you covered more than anybody here at the Goat House. And then follow our Twitter. That's a must follow for NFL content, Goat House content. It's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.